Hey, good to see you. Glad you could be here. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be looking at the PolyEffects Beebo. This is an incredible multi-effects pedal, but it's not just any multi-effects pedal. This thing is a modular synthesizer. It's a platform for creating your own pedals, and it can be your whole pedal board basically by itself, which is really cool and really powerful. But when I got mine over a year ago, I found it to be pretty overwhelming to start with. So I basically just wanted to make a couple of sort of tutorial videos to look at some creative ways you can get started with this. I'll explain some of the more basic modules, but this isn't going to be the most comprehensive tutorial in the world. I don't want to bore you to death talking about attenuators and mixers and all of this sort of stuff that you can figure out eventually. So yeah, today we're going to be looking at using this as your entire pedal board. Plus we're going to be looking at the amp simulators in the cab, the impulse responses that are in here as well. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get this thing on the desk and we'll go from there. All right, so we're here on the desk. We got the Beebo ready to rock. It's in bypass mode right now. But before we get into it, I just want to say, if you want to skip around in the video, everything's going to be bookmarked and the timeline. I'll have it in the description also. And also, if you just want to take the patches that I'm going to be making in this video and just play them for yourself, those will be free to download in the description as well. I do have a Patreon down below. If you want to donate, that'd be great, but no pressure. All right, let's get into it. We'll just start first with my clean tone. Just clean tone. I'm just running straight into Beebo, into Ableton. I have a limiter in Ableton. I would recommend using this pedal with a limiter or some kind of way to lower the audio. Because of its customizable nature, the volume gets really out of control really quickly. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of bypass mode. We're going to hit this little plus arrow. We're going to add a module. So we're just going to start off really basic. This is how I start a lot of my guitar patches, is to just get a mono compressor at the beginning of my chain. And then we're going to go to P, and we're going to get a power amp cream. And then we're going to go to IR, we're going to get a mono cab. So this is just our very basic setup. We're going to the compressor, to the amp, to the cab, to the output. And we need to select a cab. Let's go with this Matchless Chieftain. Let's see how that sounds. That one's kind of aggressive, so let's go in here and let's just turn down our gain. Level is equivalent to gain in the power amp cream. Let's turn up volume to compensate. It's got a little bit of a crunch to it. Take that down just a touch more. And I think for this first tone, we're gonna shoot for like just kind of like a cliche funk tone, because that sounds like a fun place to start. Let's go ahead and get this compressor cranked up. That's gonna give us our kind of clucky tones. Let's see where that puts us. So that gives us a little bit of that pluck that we want. All right, awesome. Now, so we can start adding effects. I think the most classic funk effect is a wah or an auto wah. We're going to go for an auto wah here, and you'll notice if you have gone diving through this menu, there is not an auto wah effect in here. There's an auto swell, but that's fine. We don't need an auto. We don't need that. We're gonna make one, which is the beauty of this pedal. So we're gonna go to filters, and we're going to go with this Uberheim filter. And we're going to go to E. We need an envelope follower. So we're going to disconnect our compressor from the amp, and we're going to add wet dry. So this just lets us mix in our effects. So we'll go from the compressor into our filter, and then we'll go from our crescent. It's going to be our dry signal. We want the low pass filter. Again, just play around. If you want to try the other filters, that's great. And then we can also go from our compressor to our envelope follower. So that's just going to detect whenever we play a note. It's going to trigger that wah, wah, classic wah sound. We're going to connect this to the cutoff. So in our filter, we're going to crank the resonance some. And now you just kind of have to mess around to get it just right. We're going to go with 100% wet here just to get that. All right, let's adjust that filter a little bit. We're going to turn the maximum volume down some. We're going to go higher with the resonance. And let's just mess around with the cutoff. That's a little wacky. Yeah, even lower than. Yeah, I think I like that. We're going to raise that maximum value again. So let's make this a little bit more complex. We're going to add a reverb. We're going to go with a mono reverb. This is going to be a impulse response or convolution reverb. Let's go with an oil can, just a short oil can reverb. So let's put this in. We're going to disconnect our filter. Actually, let's leave the filter connected. And then we're going to go from the low pass into the filter. To the reverb, pardon me. And then into the wet. I want to be able to turn off this auto wah. So we're going to hold down the filter there. And we're just going to hit the A foot switch. And that's going to let us just turn this off. So now we can dial in our reverb to be a little bit more tasteful. Let's add some delay in there too. We're going to go with our very basic delay. We can get into the more complicated ones later on because they're a lot of fun. And we're going to go for our output into our reverb, get rid of that connection. So let's connect that delay to our reverb, and let's see what we have going on with our delay. Yeah, just a very basic delay. We're going to crank that mix up to crank it up to about there. We want a little bit of our dry to bleed through to go through the reverb, and then we want the rest to just be delay. Let's not mess with any other settings right now. I just want a tap tempo connected to this. So we're going to go to controls. So by F, we're going to go with foot switch B, because we're already using A to turn off this filter, remember. So let's give us some space. BPM out. Cool. So now So let's add that filter back. So we've got a lot going on here, reverb and delay wise, so we want to make that a little drier. But now that filter's kind of buried, and if you want your wah to be sort of buried, then that's great, but I want it to be pretty pronounced. So I'm actually going to run the wah into the dry signal. So we got a pretty good funk tone going on. You know, you could do things like mess around with your amp, your cab. Basically, once you get a sound like this, you can just tweak it. I mean, just tweak it like you would a pedal board and an amp and get it to the point where you think it sounds pretty good. And then we can just save this. Cool. So I'm going to load up a patch that I made earlier. That's going for the same funky tone, but it's a little bit more dialed in, I think. Yeah, so let's move on. We're going to go past this. We're going to go to an empty preset, starting fresh again. As a reminder, here's our clean tone. So for this tone, we're going to go for more of like sort of a shoegaze tone. I'm struggling to think, talk at the same time. So we're going to go for our other power amp here. We've got two. We're going to go for the super. Let's just start off getting kind of a good clean tone. I think that's always a solid place to start. Let's look at this Mesa Boogie. I don't know that that's the best amp for a clean tone, but we're going to see what we can do with it. Get our compressor rocking. I could hear from the noise that that's going to be loud. Just a touch of gain. Let's see what the other Mesa Boogies sound like, because we might find one that's better. Maybe alt rock would be a better descriptor of the kind of tone we're going for here. And so we're going to go ahead and preemptively get our wet dry going again, because we know we're going to be doing that same sort of setup. Got our compressor going into our dry. We're going to add our bit mangle. This is going to function as our fuzz, essentially. That's going to go to our wet. Let's just see what we've got. We are clipping hard. Okay, so we're gonna put a compressor at the end just to control our volume. I think that sounds pretty good, at least to my ears. Let's get a little reverb in here. Go for a mono convolution reverb yet again. Let's go for a plate, kind of a dark plate. Assign that to A, so we can just hear what our reverb sounds like. So I think that's a good tone on its own. We're gonna go ahead and save that one. Save current preset, save as a new, and just so you can hear it, let's go for more of a dry. I'm gonna jump now to that same sort of idea that I've already refined a little bit more. It's so loud. Hey, thanks so much for joining me on this journey today. What am I, yoga with Adrian? Hey, thanks so much for sticking with me today. If you made it to the end, you are a champion. I'm almost out of battery. That's great. If you made it to the end, you're a champion. I love you. Peace. I will see you on the next one.